On the last episode of Bass Chops for Beginners, we talked about upgrades of your bass guitar, and so that one was very specific in telling you that you can upgrade your pickups on your bass guitar, and what a different sound that you can achieve by doing that simple and not so expensive upgrade. So this week we're going to talk about another way that you can upgrade your bass, and that's through the form of your bridge. Okay, and so I've got several guitars here that I'm dying to show you because nearly all of them, the ones that I own, I've done an upgrade on, whether it's pickup or bridge or all. Okay, and so we're going to talk about that right now. Hello everybody, I'm Jose Cruz and welcome to Bass Chops for Beginners, and I want to do a special thanks to all the new subscribers that have joined and have come on board. And so for those of you that are landing here for the very first time, if you want to learn about some of the steps that you can take to become a brand new bass player and you want to start with the very beginning, okay, click on the subscription button right there, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. That way when I upload a brand new video, you're going to receive a notice that something's new, and that way you can come back here and get caught up on the latest information on the topic. All right? So yeah, on this episode, we're going to talk about upgrades and upgrading your bridge. And there's a couple of manufacturers out there, a couple of them US. I have a Japanese manufacturer, German manufacturer, and it's exciting for me because I get to talk about all of these things. I'm going to show you some pictures, and it's been a pretty bizarre summer. I mean, we've been dealing with this thing here lately, and it's Hurricane Dorian, and so it's been a disruption for us here, but luckily it's skirting us in the Atlantic and heading northbound, and we just want to keep our prayers for those people that are north of us. And so I just wanted to take a little moment there and just let you know that there's stuff going on all the time here. Before I get started with this week's video description of all the bridges that you can avail yourself of out there, I wanted to give a recognition to three very special people that I met essentially over the summer, and they've just been instrumental in my growth as a content provider, and just the community that I spoke of in previous videos is just getting smaller. The very first guy that I wanted to talk to you about is Robert Graham. He is a musician in New York City, and so he's one of these guys that I stumbled on YouTube, and he is a Rickenbacker owner, and so he does upgrades on his guitar, pretty much similar to me in that, we have this instrument and it needs to perform the way we want it, and so the easiest way to do that is to upgrade it from whatever it comes with from the factory. And so Robert Graham he posts videos, and he was just having issues with a bridge that he wanted to install in one of his basses, and so it just happens to be a direct replacement for Rickenbacker bridge. And so anyway, he actually responded to one of my other videos initially, and we just got to talking, and he's a really nice guy. So nice that he gave me a shout out in one of his videos. And so just really good people. You can just tell he's good people. An older gentleman, fellow New Yorker, and so I find his videos kind of funny because it's just a different perspective. The older generation, we just see the perspective on life is just different. So really good guy. So if you check out his video, go ahead and subscribe to his channel as well. That way we can just help each other out and make everything just more dynamic for everybody. The next person that I wanted to talk to you about and give a shout out to is, he's not a New Yorker, he's a Canadian from Toronto. Dave Riome is his name, and his channel is Dave's World of Fun Stuff. And so what's interesting about this guy is he's a bass player who happens to run a side business repairing and doing maintenance on guitars. And so just a wealth of knowledge, and just I learned so much from this character. And so he's really entertaining to watch. And how I stumbled onto Dave's World of Fun Stuff is that I was looking through YouTube for how to perform maintenance on Rickenbacker basses. And so I stumbled onto this guy's website, and the first thing I see is him trashing Rickenbacker basses. He, as a previous owner himself, he just was relentless in attacking and criticizing Rickenbacker basses. And then we find out, for pretty darn good reason, it's all just a design thing. From a mechanical standpoint, you look at it and you try to work on it, and you start to figure out very quickly that it's got problems. And so at first, when I saw his video, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's such... I didn't even know what to think. And then as I watched more of his videos, and it became very apparent very quickly that he indeed is brilliant and he knows what he's doing. And deep down inside, that harsh exterior that at first might kind of like scare you and just turn you off, and you're like, I'm not going to watch this guy at all. He's whatever. He's actually a very kind gentleman. You can just tell that there's a heart underneath that. He's got a soft spot for people, for his fellow man, and it's very apparent. And so it's on one side, he comes across as being this crotchety old codger, but deep down inside, a really, really nice guy. And for me personally, I learned so much from this man. Okay, I have so many guitars, and then you just learn that, oh my gosh, you have to do things in order to make these things last as long as possible. So because of him, I'm now going through all of my guitars and implementing those things that I learned from him. Isn't that cool? We teach each other. The platform of YouTube is such that for me, it's an instructive tool that I expand my knowledge and capabilities. And so in turn, when I talk to you about some of the things that I know, it's coming from experience and things that I've picked up from people that really know what they're talking about. And Dave is one of those people. Another person that I ran into over the summer, this one was just a magical confluence of just the right things happening and falling into place the way they did. So again, I'm in YouTube looking for Rickenbacker players, and I stumbled onto this one guy who he videotapes himself playing along with Rush songs. Okay, and there's a dime a dozen that do this, and so it is what it is. But he's like one of 3 or 4 people on the internet that really plays it accurately, note for note. People, this is a rare thing to witness. Okay, the music is so difficult and complex to perform that when I come across somebody that does it that well, I'm just awestruck. And it just so happens that this gentleman, Tim Starchie, lives in the state that I live in, just on the Atlantic coast. And so I found that, and he's a bass player, keyboardist for what is known as a Rush tribute band that also happens to create and perform their own original music. And that's the band Why Not? And so I found out that Why Not was playing in a town just north of where Tim lives, in about 2.5 hour drive for us to get to. So I seized the opportunity to go watch these guys because I'm watching their videos, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this guy can play. And it's not just him. The drummer plays note for note. The guitarist plays note for note. These people really took the time to really learn to play this music and honor it. I mean, that's it. There's a lot of Rush tribute bands out there, and many of them are good, but these guys, they just really knock it out of the park. So I made up my mind that I was going to go catch Why Not play, and I just had this crazy idea. I thought about reaching out to Tim to say, hey, I'm coming over to see your show. Can I do a video interview of you for my fledgling beginner bass channel? Within 5 minutes of me essentially sending out a cold request for an interview to somebody who has no idea who I am, and I don't know him, he didn't know me. Within 5 minutes, he said yes. I was like, crap. I've never interviewed anybody like that before. A professional musician that I didn't know personally. So I'm like, what do I do? How do I conduct myself? And so it was just one of those things that I wanted to approach it from the standpoint of, we all started at one point. All of us were bitten by that bug. It didn't matter if it happened early on, in the middle part of our lives, or if you're like me, you're like on the other side of 50 years old and you get bitten by the bug to play bass. That bug doesn't care whether you're male or female. It doesn't care about your social economic standpoint. It doesn't care about any of those things. When you get bitten, it's a magical thing when it happens. And so I wanted Tim to tell his story with the limited time that I had with him that evening. And so you should check out that video. It was for me, it really was moments frozen in time with somebody that I've grown to really admire and respect. And when I look at his videos, I realize I'm playing everything wrong. As a fan of Rush music myself, I'm playing everything wrong. Isn't that funny? That is so cool to me. So I wanted to quickly bounce back to Dave Rheaume, the Canadian. I noticed that he worked on a lot of Squier basses, and I happen to own a jazz bass myself, and it was just something interesting in that when he's one of these people that when he fixes a guitar, he videotapes himself performing the task. Dave's approach to what he does is like this. He says, I'm not going to show you how to do guitar repair and maintenance. I'm going to show you how I do it, which is so refreshing to me because it appeals to anybody can do the work because of the way he explains it. It's not over your head. It's just really a lot of common sense from, I mean, if you will, like a shade tree mechanics approach to how to fix things, right? There is like how people lofty, they regard themselves as, you know, the top pros and how they do things, how to do it, industry standard stuff, and then there's the real world on how to handle things and how to take care of it efficiently and quickly and producing results that are tangible and real and noticeable. So this guy, he has a lot of Squier basses that come across his workbench that he works on, and something that he does that's really cool, when he fixes them near the end of the video, he actually plays them just to demo it, just to make sure that it's functioning and everything. And something was happening. He would be playing a lot of precision basses, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what a sound. I grew up with that sound, you know, as a child of the 60s and 70s. That was a sound it's in just all the hit records. It's that precision bass sound. So when I would hear him play all those guitars, I'm like, I gotta get one. So I did! Isn't this cool? What's really funny is that I reviewed this guitar in a previous video where I'm demonstrating to you, hey, you know, these are great beginner guitars and you may want to give this one a look because it's made by Fender Squier and I already have the jazz, and so this is one that you can give a closer look if you want to because it's a well-made guitar. Not knowing at the time that I'm like, I gotta get one of those, and so it's so funny because the one that I reviewed in my previous video happens to be the red one, and I got the red one. And so I love this guitar. It's not really a beginner bass, even though it is priced as such. But when you really set these up properly, the way I learned from Dave's video, it's actually a fantastic instrument. If you're one of these people that just shreds and you're like, and you're all over the fretboard and you're just one of those players, fantastic. It works for you. If you're an intermediate player, it works for you. If you are a beginner and you have no idea how to play, this is a fantastic choice. It was good enough for me. I fell in love with it. So there you have it. I now have a precision bass. Isn't it pretty? I don't know if you noticed, but I also upgraded the bridge almost immediately after I bought it, which ties in perfectly with this video. So anyway, you can tell I'm as happy as can be because it's been a fantastic summer, very inspirational. I got to meet 3 people that are just inspirations to me, and it makes me want to continue trying to inspire other people. And so that leads us to the topic of upgrading your bass bridge. I just want to tell you that lots of people make bass bridges. A lot of people make fantastic products, and I want to give kudos here today to the ones that really make a fantastic product. I'm not going to talk about best to worst, most expensive to cheapest. There are some Chinese knockoffs, which are essentially reverse engineered stuff that was either made in this country, or precision stuff that's made in Germany, precision stuff that's made in Japan, and the cost will reflect that, okay? You go with a Chinese knockoff, you're going to not pay that much money, but then it's an inferior product in my view. That's just my personal view. Don't be afraid to spend money on a good bridge. All of those people in those locations, they make a really darn good product, and you're going to see some of them today, okay? The rage that's out there, and it's showing up on a lot of entry-level guitars as well, are high mass bridges. They're called high mass bridges for a reason, because sometimes bridges are just puny pieces of metal. They're just a tiny anchor point for the back end of the strings, and that's basically it. They don't offer any other performance advantage other than they hang on to the strings. And so, can they be improved upon? Most certainly, and a lot of people do, because it's an easy upgrade to perform. Okay, a lot of bridges that you will see today are direct bolt-ons to existing guitars, whether it's a Fender style guitar, a Gibson, even Rickenbacker, and so there's a bridge out there for somebody. The advantage of having a high mass bridge is that you have this is an exaggeration, a larger piece of metal resting on top of the guitar body, and so it's offering a greater surface area mounted to the body, where all of that energy and string vibration goes right through the guitar body at a higher mass level. What that translates to you is better sustain, because it's a larger footprint, better tonal possibilities, certainly, better opportunities to get your intonation a little bit more precisely done, because if you'll notice that the ones that we're going to look at, they are precision made pieces of artwork, in my opinion. When I look at one of these things, I'm like, that's freaking artwork to me. It's a piece of machinery. It's a mechanical thing that somebody dreamed up and just really poured their heart into and their brains into the way it's designed. And so there you have it. That's the high mass bridge. Sometimes, and they are getting better, is that sometimes when you get a brand new high mass bridge, because it is not exactly like the factory bridge that's on the guitar, there may be some variations to how it sits on the guitar. Some of these bridges are, because they are high mass, they're just larger pieces of metal. When they rest on the guitar, they're actually slightly taller. So what's very likely, and it happens, don't be afraid of this, is that you might have to shim the neck to compensate for that extra elevation in the back end of the guitar, so that way your string rests on top of the saddles at a respectable amount of altitude from the bottom, so that way you can set it and set everything perfectly. Okay, shimming may be something that you have to look into to learn about. In fact, I'm going to put a link on the comments, in the description rather, on videos on how to set up your string height by shimming your neck. Okay, cool. In going down memory lane, there was this company out there, Leo Kwan. It's actually those are the names of the two gentlemen that ran the company. And during the 70s, they were so highly sought after. Their bridges were called Leo Kwan Badass. That line was called Badass. And so I have those bridges on my jazz bass and on my precision bass, and I'll show you close-ups of those, and you can see that it's a respectable hunk of metal. They're so nice. I mean, I went crazy and just bought high mass bridges from Leo Kwan Industries back in the day, and I mounted them on all the guitars that I thought really needed it, and I don't regret it at all. So when I made my most recent purchase, The sad thing is that Leo Kwan Ltd doesn't exist anymore. I believe one of the two gentlemen passed away, and so the other one just didn't feel like continuing on with the company, and all production of these bridges ceased. Okay? That's the bad news about it. The good news is that the bridge design is so popular and so sought after by bassists that other companies somehow got a hold of the design on it, the specs, and recreated the second and third version of the badass bridge that's out there. And we're going to talk about those companies as well. So for those of you that really like the Leo Kwan bridges, but we're all sad that we can't buy those anymore, there's hope. There's several people out there that make really good versions of those bridges. So the following companies I'm going to talk to you about and let you know about them, and just again understand that I'm not going in any specific order of the best company, worst company, most expensive company, cheapest company. No, there's just a random list here that I'm just gonna talk to you about, and then what's really cool is that if you want, you can go to the description of this video, and I'm going to provide you with all of the links to all of their websites. That way you can go visit. A lot of these manufacturers will sell directly. Some of them use intermediate resellers. Maybe you can get them at a better price than buying it directly from them. That's cool. Also, just know that there's options out there, but certainly visit those websites and check out what they have. And then as I talk about them, I'm just going to show you what the websites look like, okay? Right off the bat, we're going to start with Hipshot. Hipshot is an American company. Actually, they're based out of New York, where I was born. Hipshot is an interesting company in that they really took time and care to design their stuff to be bulletproof. When you look at it, those things, again, they're pieces of art in my precision machinery. They were one of the first ones to make what's called the Kick-Ass bridge, which is like the Badass 2. They made the Kick-Ass bridge, and it's great. What I love about it is that it's at a price point that's, to me, even better than the original Badass bridge. And in my opinion, it's constructed in a far more superior way than what it's imitating. So that's the Hipshot bridge. One thing that is absolutely invaluable about Hipshot is that they are the only people that went through the trouble to design a direct replacement bridge for Rickenbacker basses, okay? If you're an owner of this bass guitar like I am, one of the things that you immediately hate about it is the bridge from the factory in Santa Ana. It's just a clunky piece of metal that is almost impossible to really set up in a logical way. It's just a horrible design. Rickenbacker apparently is aware of this, and the fact that they keep reproducing that bridge year after year after year without making any kind of design changes, I don't know, I guess they just earn the scorn of the bass player community and people who have an axe to grind about the product line. That's just one of those things. It's like, okay, you know that thing is a piece of junk. Why don't you develop it to make it better? Well, everybody got tired of waiting because Hipshot designs a direct replacement for the Rickenbacker bridge. And when you see this thing, it is a beautiful piece of artwork, and it is a direct bolt-on to the guitar, and the results are phenomenal. What's really cool is check out Robert Graham's YouTube page, because he was lucky enough to secure a walkthrough tour of the Hipshot factory in New York City, and he actually got the senior VP, or perhaps the president of the company, to walk him through personally. And the president worked on Robert's bass guitar. He was having trouble with the string spacing feature on the Rickenbacker bridge that Hipshot makes, and the guy just fixed it for him right then and there and actually gave him a tool so that way he would have the correct tool to make those adjustments from that moment forward. That means a lot. I mean, we see that, and it's like they actually care about the people using their products enough to do something like that, okay? And so Omega is another manufacturer. Don't know where they are actually made. I suspect that they're a US made company, but I'm not sure. So if you know, leave the comments down below. In fact, I found out that YouTube's doing away with comments, so if you go to my Facebook page for this channel, all of the correspondence, comments, and so on and so forth, you can do that there on the Facebook page. But if you know where the heck Omega bridges are made, let us know. That way we'll spread that knowledge around. But Omega, they did a direct replica of the Badass 2 bridge. Hipshot made their own design, which is superior in my opinion, but Omega did a direct copy of the original Badass, the original Leo Kwan Badass 2 bridge. And it's a fantastic bridge. Again, it's made better than, in my opinion, than the original. And so Omega is an option for you. Really good high mass bridge. This next manufacturer is really cool because they've been around since the early 60s, and that's Goto. And I say it like that because they're a Japanese company, and they make they make so many bridges. You're just gonna have to go to their website, and I'll just show you very briefly here. They make so many bridges that there's something that they make that's bound to suit your need, okay? That's Goto. And so they're serious about their design. They took care in making it. It's a good, solid product. Give Goto a chance, okay? The next company is another one of those companies that have been around for a really long time, and they don't make bridges only. They make a bunch of different hardware pieces for guitars and basses. And so Schaller, some people know them as Schaller, but they're a German company, so it's Schaller. And Schaller makes one bridge out there. They probably make a couple of others that you might want to look at, but certainly they've been around a long time. They certainly have the respect of guitar players and bassists worldwide. And so check out their website, and you can see what they have in the form of a solid high mass bridge. Okay, Fender USA jumped also on the whole thing that a lot of bassists want the high mass bridges that were made by the now defunct Leo Kwan company, and so they made a replica version of the Badass 2, and you can actually buy that directly from Fender USA. You can go to their webpage and scroll through, and there it is, their high mass bridge that's very similar in design to the Badass 2. And I believe they make another one. They actually make a 5-string version of that bridge as well, for those of you that are brave enough to jump into the 5-string realm early on in your bass playing endeavors. Okay, so Fender USA, certainly they make a high mass bridge, and then they make the Precision Vintage. I have it on my short scale right now. It's facilitating that need beautifully because as you can see by the image, it's got all the slots already cut into the saddles, and so adjusting your string spacing is not an issue with that bridge, and it's very inexpensive and well made. Fender USA, way to go, guys. WD is one of these places. It's like it's a one-stop shop of all guitar hardware needs. I believe they sell other items as well. They sell bridges of different manufacturers as well as their own line. So WD makes a nice selection of bridges for you to select from. And again, like I've said before, go to their website and just scroll through what they have. If you want to stay domestic, and there's no reason, if you want to just buy American products, then that stuff is made, I believe, here in Florida. And so check out WD. They also carry other bridges like Goto. They also carry, I believe, Schaller and Hipshot. So they're a reseller of those other lines as well, but they just happen to make their own line of bridges that are worthy of your attention. Okay, so that's WD. Kluson is one that I had no idea that they even existed, but I checked them out, and they're also a company they're made in Florida, Miami specifically, along with WD products, and that they have been making guitar hardware for a really long time. They make hardware for acoustic guitars, electric guitars and electric basses, so on and so forth. And so I've seen their bridges. They're really well made. And that's another one. I bring up Kluson because you don't hear from these people usually. They're just, they're not that widely. It's not a household name of bassists. You don't hear people saying, yeah, Kluson bridge. But I'm telling you what I've seen, it's worthy of your attention, and it's at a price point that's actually very good for those of us that are budget conscious. And again, you've heard me say in the past, who isn't budget conscious? So try out Kluson if you get a chance to, okay? And then the last one on this list is another German company, and it's ABM. Again, another company that I had no idea about because I'm so fixated on when it was Leo Kwan. Now it's, of course, Hipshot, although I don't own one. But I've got my eye on that Rickenbacker bridge replacement because although I have a Leo Kwan Badass 2 on my Rickenbacker, which you see in this video here, I fully intend to put a Hipshot on there at some point. When I did this upgrade years ago, we're talking over 25 years ago, I was not aware. It may not have been in existence at the time, but I was not aware of Hipshot making a direct replacement for that bass guitar. Now, people that are in the know and that use their Rickenbacker 4001s and 4003 professionally, they're gigging with these things, they're earning a living, they're chucking that factory piece of junk bridge on the Rickenbacker and replacing it with a Hipshot bridge, and it works. It works. Check out Tim Starchie's video in Why Not. All of his basses have Hipshot bridges, okay? You can hear that it works. Hands down, it works. They all work as they just work, right? Isn't that what we want? Stuff that just works. So, Hipshot. The one thing about ABM that I noticed is that it's a precision bridge, no doubt about it, but I think they only make one or two, but it's still worthy of your attention. It's obviously, I'm saying these manufacturers because some of my viewers are from Germany, some of my viewers are from Italy, and so it may be easier for you to obtain ABM bridges easier in the EU, right? And so last but certainly not the least in any way, shape, or form is Babbitt's. Babbitt's is one of those fantastic American companies where the founder was involved with the Steinberger project. In fact, he's the one that I believe is the brainchild behind the fine-tuning mechanisms that was found in all Steinberger guitars. And so Babbitt's broke away and started his own company, and now he's one of those manufacturers that a lot of bassists, when they want the premium touch, the premium look, and the premium performance, they get that certainly from Babbitt's products. And you can see that everything they make is absolutely stunning. There you go. I like it. I like what I see. If I see one of those and if it's at the right price from whomever's selling it at the time, I'll jump on one. No doubt about that. I really appreciate you guys, and don't forget to visit the fan page for this channel on YouTube, and I put the address down here. Follow me on Instagram as well. I really dig Instagram, and the people that follow me on Instagram, you've heard me say it before, not all of them are musicians, but I really dig what they're doing, photography, travel. I'm just into it all, and it's really, really cool. And so do something really cool and creative and let me know about it. Also, here's my question for the week. Have you upgraded your bass guitar's bridge? If so, which one did you go with? Tell us what you think about that upgrade. In the meantime, do something good and tune it or die.